Hi everyone, I'm Jin Su. Happy to see you again. In this session, I will explain the documentation in nursing. The learning objectives are, by the end of this session, you will be able to describe purposes for patient documentation, compare and contrast different documentation methods, verbalize the nursing discharge summaries, describe the general guidelines for documentation. First, let's get to know what the nursing documentation is. Nursing documentation is the record of nursing care that is planned and delivered to individual patients by qualified nurses or other caregivers under the direction of a qualified nurse. It contains information in accordance with the steps of nursing process. Nursing documentation is the principal clinical information source to meet legal and professional requirements. Briefly, the purpose of nursing documentation are: the nursing documentation is a written record of the history, treatment, care, and response of the patient while under the care of a healthcare provider. And it is a communication vehicle by which different health professionals who interact with the patient communicate with each other. The documentation is a guide for reimbursement of care costs. It's also the evidence of care in a court of law. It provides data for qualified assurance studies and shows progress toward expected outcomes. And the documentation also provides education material for both academic and clinical teaching. So you may be wondering how the various medical and nursing documentation are arranged. A number of documentation systems are in current use in hospitals and other healthcare facilities. First, source-oriented record. It is a traditional patient record. Each person or department makes notation in a separate section or sections of the patient chart. For example, the physicians have an order sheet, a physician's history sheet, and progress notes. And nurses have assessment sheet, body temperature sheet, nurses' notes, and so on. Narrative charting is a traditional part of the source-oriented record. It consists of written notes that include routine care, normal findings, and patient problems. You can check the common components of the source-oriented record from the slide. The advantage of the source-oriented records are: it is convenient because care providers from each discipline can easily locate the forms on which to record data, and it is easy to trace the information specific to one's discipline. The disadvantages are: information about a particular patient problem is scattered throughout the chart, so it is difficult to find chronological information on a patient's problems and progress. This can lead to decreased communication among the health team, an incomplete picture of the patient's care, and a lack of coordination of care. Nowadays, the electronic medical and nursing documentation systems are adopted by more and more hospitals in China. The benefits are increasing access to more complete, accurate, and up-to-date data, and reducing redundancy, improving communication and care service delivery. Second, the problem-oriented medical record. The data are arranged according to the problems the patient has rather than the source of information. Members of the healthcare team contribute to the problem list, plan of care, and the progress notes. The POMR has 4 basic components. Database. It consists of all information known about the patient when the patient first enters the healthcare agency. It includes nursing assessment, the physician's history, social and family data, and the baseline diagnostic tests. Problem list. Problems are listed in the order in which they are identified, and the list is continually updated as new problems are identified and others resolved. Plan of care. Care plans are generated by the person who lists the problems. Physicians write medical care plans. Nurses write nursing care plans. Progress notes. It's a chart entry made by all health professionals involved in a patient's care. They all use the same time-off sheet for notes. For example, SOAPIAM format is frequently used. S means subjective data. O, objective data. A, assessment. P, plan. I, interventions. E, evaluation. And R, revision. Third, PI record, that is problem, intervention, and evaluation record system. This system consists of a patient care assessment flow sheet and progress notes. The flow sheet uses specific assessment criteria in a particular format, such as human needs or functional health patterns. Progress notes. A progress note is the record of nursing actions and observations in the nursing care process. It helps nurses to monitor and control the course of nursing care. Generally, nurses record information with a common format. Nurses are likely to record details about patients' clinical status or achievements during the course of the nursing care. Nursing discharge summaries include the patient's status at admission and discharge, a brief summary of the patient's care, intervention and education outcomes, resolved problems and continuing care needs for unresolved problems, inclusive of reference, patient instructions regarding medication, diet, food-drug interactions, activity, treatments, follow-up instructions, and other special needs. Now, let's get to know the general guidelines for recording. Because the patient record is a legal document and may be used to provide evidence in court, many factors are considered in recording. First, date and time. Document the date and time of each recording. This is essential not only for legal reasons, but also for patient safety. It must be accurate according to the 24 hours clock or in the conventional manner, such as AM, PM. Second, timing. Follows the agent's policy about the frequency of documentation and adjusts the frequency as a patient's condition indicates. No recording should be done before providing nursing care. Third, legibility. All entries must be legible and easy to read to prevent interpretation errors. Fourth, permanence. All entries made in dark ink so that the record is permanent and changes can be identified. Fifth, correct spelling and writing. It's essential for accuracy in recording. Incorrect writing gives a negative impression to the reader and thereby decreases the nurse's credibility. 6. Signature. Each recording on the nursing notes is signed by the registered nurse who made it. 7. Accuracy. The patient's name and identifying information should be stamped or written on each page of the clinical records. Sequence. Document events in the order in which they occur, such as record assessments, then the nursing interventions, and then the patient's responses. Appropriateness. Records only information that pertains to the patient's health problem and care. Completeness. Record assessment, dependent and independent nursing interventions, patient problems, patient comments, and responses to interventions. Conciseness. Recording needs to be brief as well as complete to save time in communication. Accepted terminology. Use only commonly accepted abbreviations, symbols, and terms that are specified by the agency. Many abbreviations are standard and used universally. Legal prudence. Accurate, complete documentation could give legal protect to the nurse, the patient's other caregivers, the healthcare facilities, and the patient. Okay, that's all for the session. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.